Have you ever been asked what you wanted to be when you grow up? I know that I certainly have. Since the age of 5, I can remember aunts and uncles and grandparents saying, "Maddie, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I was little, so I only knew the basics. Sometimes it was a firefighter, sometimes it was a dentist, sometimes it was a doctor, and some days it was even a fish. But as I grew up and I was still asked that question, this panic started to set in, almost like, oh no, I need to decide. I can't be a fish. I had been exposed to billions of jobs that I never even knew existed. How was I supposed to know which one was right for me? What if I didn't like it? What if I was bad at it? I've never been too fond of school. I've always hated learning things that I didn't care about or things that I thought I would never need in the future. So that for me made me think that I wasn't going to go to university or college after high school because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and why was I going to go to school any longer than I had to? I was sort of banking on the idea that I was going to find a rich man and marry him and that I wouldn't have to work a day in my life, but that's not going too well. In grade 10, my entire view on school changed. I was accidentally placed in a business course, which I thought I was going to hate, but I ended up loving, and I passed with flying colors. Getting a 97 in that course and actually enjoying it made me feel so good about myself. Now that I had found something I actually liked and considered going to school for, I started to build this dream of what I wanted to do with my life. In the text that we read, all 3 main characters had their dreams. Amir's dream was small, but in his eyes it was big. He wanted to win a kite fight so his father would be proud of him. Macbeth wanted to be King of Scotland, which is kind of a bigger dream, and he wanted this so he could rule over everybody. And lastly, Nick's dream was to live the American dream. All 3 main characters across the texts all had such strong ambition to reach their goals. Amir was determined to get that kite that he left Hassan in his worst possible moment when Hassan needed him the most. He left him to go and show his father that he had won the kite and get the praise that he had longed for so long. Macbeth was so determined to be King of Scotland. He went on a killing rampage. He killed the former king and his best friend, all to win that title. Nick wasn't as ambitious as the other 2, but he got a job in the bonds so he could have enough money to support himself and maybe live a bit of a more luxurious life, but not as luxurious as Gatsby. Gatsby, on the other hand, was determined to win over Daisy. He wanted Daisy to love him, and he was going to do anything and not let anything get in the way of that. Everyone has their own reasons that drive them to succeed. For some, it's their parents' expectations. They don't want to let their parents down, so they keep up and succeed. For some, it's the feeling of accomplishment, and for some, it's to reach another milestone in their life, and so on. There are so many reasons why people have a desire to succeed. My drive, my ambition, why I want to succeed is so that in the future I can be happy with the job I have. I can choose what I want to do with my life, and I can have enough money to have the things that I want and have the things that my children want. A big factor that gets in the way of people's success is fear. If you don't take the chance, you've already failed. So many people let failure stop them from reaching their goals. Yes, sometimes it protects you from harmful things, which is great, but it's not good when it's protecting you from getting where you want to be and succeeding. I take chances and try new things so that I can reach a certain level in my life where I have control over what I want to do. If I sat at home and never took chances and never tried new things, I would never develop as a person. I wouldn't be open to these chances that give me power over my life, over what I want to do, over the choices that I make. If I don't take chances, I won't be able to control that. I won't be able to control my life, and I like to have control over things. I'm a very controlling person. I like to have that power to know that things are going to get done the way I want them to, when I need them to. Going back to my dream about business, I would love to either start my own company or be the boss of a big company because I like to be in control. So if I was the boss, everything would get done my way, and that would be good. Now, if I open my own company, I can be in charge of what that company is and how things get done and the people that work for me and just how everything works. But it would have to be something I'm passionate about, not paper or toys. For me, that passion is snakes. If I was opening up my own business, it would have to relate to snakes in so many ways, either breeding snakes or selling snakes or anything to do with snakes. Ever since I was little, I would beg my parents every day to let me get a snake. And they always said no. And I understood. They're not common pets. Most people are terrified of them. But finally, in 2017, they came around to the idea of letting me get one. And so I got my first snake, an albino snowcorn named Ollie. I absolutely fell in love with him. He is the cutest little thing in the world, and he has his own personality, and I just love him so much. For me, opening up a company relating to snakes would satisfy the power that I want to have. I'd control what happens in my working environment and who I work with and all that kind of jazz. I think that knowledge is the ultimate power. Having knowledge isn't only beneficial to yourself, but beneficial to so many other people and to the good in the world. For example, doctors. Doctors have the knowledge to help other people when they are in medical situations or are in need of medicine or medical attention. If they didn't have that knowledge, they wouldn't be able to help. Bankers, if they didn't have the knowledge on knowing how to bank, people wouldn't be able to bank. There are so many things out there like that. If you don't have the knowledge, you cannot help yourself and you cannot help other people. Unfortunately, in this day, when people think of power, they think of having control over other people and being able to control what other people do like they're little puppets. In Macbeth, for example, he wanted that kind of power. He wanted to be the King of Scotland so he could control what everybody was doing at all times. He wanted to make the rules and determine how people live their lives and everything that happened. He wanted power over people. In The Kite Runner, the main idea of power was seen from the Taliban. The Taliban came into Afghanistan and took power over all the people, and that's why so many Afghans fled, because the power that they had, they were not using it for good. They were using it for bad. That same sort of power is seen with Ali and Hassan. Ali has power over Hassan to the point that Hassan will do anything that Ali asks him. Now, Ali doesn't abuse that as much as the Taliban does, but it's still not as okay for Hassan as sometimes it should be. When it comes to Ali having power over him, Hassan still isn't treated as fairly as he should be. So my grandfather lives by his own golden rule. His golden rule is he who has the gold has the power. And that is so true. Money is power. Unfortunately, to have power, you can't just have knowledge. And unfortunately, to have power, you can just have money. You don't need to be smart. As long as you have money, you have power. People want influence over others, and money is a great way to get that. In The Great Gatsby, when Gatsby was caught speeding and the officer came up to his window and he realized it was Gatsby, he knew, this guy has so much money, he could ruin my reputation, he could tell people this and this and this about me. I'm just gonna let him go. I don't want him to have a bad impression of me. Although having money as a form of power isn't always used for good, it can be used for good. People with lots of money sometimes donate to charities or donate to organizations and foundations, and since they have that power over other people as well, they can say, hey, I donate to this, you maybe should too if they have other wealthy friends, and then that's a good kind of power, that's a good influence that they're using their money for to help other people. But mostly, I think it's important to have power over yourself, to know what your dreams are, not what other people's dreams are, and to not let anything get in the way of you succeeding and reaching that dream and stopping what drives you to succeed. No matter what, you have to keep trying for what you want in life. You control your life. You can't let anybody else do that. Thank you for tuning in to my TED Talk about dreams, ambition, and power. I hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned to see a few clips of my little scaly friend. So this is Ollie, my first snake, and hopefully there will be many more to come. He is an albino snowcorn, which is why he has red eyes, and that's why he's pink.